Oh, Sarah, did you get the gift I sent you? The lobster must have been delicious, Karen continued. Yes, I replied. My eldest son ate it all by himself. What? Karen's voice trembled. Go check on your son, please. I dismissed her frantic request, but reluctantly, I headed towards the bathroom near my eldest son's bedroom. What I witnessed was unbelievable. My name is Sarah, and I'm turning 60 this year. I married my husband at 19 and was blessed with 3 children. At 20, I had my eldest son, Mike, and at 23, I gave birth to twin daughters, Betty and Emma. Now, all 3 are married. My eldest daughter lives far away in Spain. It was lonely when she left, but my younger daughter moved to the next town after getting married and now lives in an apartment near her in-laws. My eldest son's family has been living with us. It's a blessing to have them nearby. In this rural area, it's common for families to live with their eldest son, and multi-generational households aren't rare. The tradition of passing down the family home to the eldest son is still strong here. Naturally, we plan to hand our house over to Mike. My husband owns several properties. We have a decent passive income. We live modestly and happily, avoiding luxuries but affording gifts for our grandchildren. My eldest daughter, though far away, always appreciates the gifts I send. She had a boy and a girl a few years ago, and we often video chat to keep in touch. My younger daughter has a big family with 3 boys and a girl. She works, but her eldest recently started playing soccer, keeping her particularly busy. Sometimes we take care of her children at our house. My eldest son and his wife have a boy too. They live with us, but he doesn't talk to me much lately, maybe because he's in his rebellious phase. However, having many grandchildren and seeing them all healthy and well is my happiness. Living together brings its own set of challenges. In the past, a mother-in-law's word was law, and I never dared defy mine. She was strict. I don't want to be like that, but there are things I must teach. Living here in the countryside requires a minimum level of community and family interaction that my eldest son needs to know, or he'll struggle. That's why I asked Karen, my daughter-in-law, to help with things like arranging Christmas cards and gifts for Christmas and Thanksgiving. Since we own properties and my eldest son is set to inherit them, these relationships are very important. I often tell him this, but he responds with, "You're so annoying. Leave me alone," and seems to dislike me and my husband, who supports me. When I talk to Karen, she doesn't want to help either. For Thanksgiving, she'd say she's traveling with friends and leave the house, and for Christmas, she'd go to her parents' house from mid-November through the New Year's holidays. I never tell her not to go. In fact, I think she should visit her parents. But such a long holiday break is unheard of, especially since Karen's parents live in the same city, just in a neighboring school district. They could meet anytime, not just during the holidays. So while I'm dissatisfied with her long visits home, I end up doing the end-of-the-year cleaning of our large house all by myself. Seeing my struggle, my younger daughter and her children started helping out a few years ago, which has been a relief. But I really think it's Karen's responsibility, as she lives here. I've mentioned it to my eldest son, but he doesn't seem to say anything to Karen, and being busy with work, he doesn't help either. In contrast, my younger daughter helps with arranging presents and making Christmas cards even on her precious days off. She's truly a godsend. I've had my reservations about Karen's behavior in everyday life. She's a stay-at-home mom, is home every day. She drives the grandkids to and from school and tutoring, but she doesn't do housework. She barely manages their laundry and never touches ours. I compromised, thinking it was okay as long as they handled their own laundry. After all, family or not, we're still individuals. I thought it would be great if we could just take care of our own chores. However, Karen often says, "Sarah, I'm leaving the laundry here," dumping muddy clothes or items needing hand washing into our basket as if expecting me to do it. I recall that since the grandkids were babies, I've been the one washing anything stained or needing hand washing. It didn't bother me before, but should I always be the one to do it? Once I confronted her, saying, "Karen, wash your son's dirty clothes yourself. Don't just put them in our laundry basket." Her response was exaggerated. "Of course, I'll do it when I can, but a little help would be nice, wouldn't it?" I was taken aback by her words. I wanted to throw those words right back at her. I'm the one who wants family cooperation. There have been many such incidents. Her attitude, the local customs, the long-standing traditions. I think they're the cause, and I understand why she might dislike them. Being family doesn't mean you don't need to be considerate. That's why I've always tried to be accommodating towards Karen. I've never forced her to attend gatherings. I've done what I can myself. Karen may be as she is, but there's no doubt she supports my eldest son and is devoted to the grandchild. We've managed to live together for over 10 years by finding a middle ground. And now, we're in December again. Today is my 60th birthday, but there's no celebratory mood. Just as busy as every year. Karen went to her parents' house about a half a month ago. In the evening, thinking I'd like something nice for my birthday dinner, I came home to a quiet house. I heard the front door open. "Oh, Mike, you're early." It was my eldest son, home from work earlier than usual. He handed me a large package. "Here, for your 60th celebration," he said. The bag was from a department store. I was surprised. My husband rarely responds properly when I talk to him, and today was no different. No happy birthday from him. But the fact that Mike thought enough to celebrate touched me deeply. "Thank you, I'm so happy," I said. Mike gruffly acknowledged my thanks, then changed his clothes and left the room. My husband peeked in. "What's that?" he asked. "Just something," I replied. I went back to the dining room and opened the package. The moment I saw what was inside, I froze. "Quite a fancy lobster," my husband remarked with a wry smile. He knows I have a shellfish allergy, though it's not severe. Just some itching if I eat it. My eldest son should know too. But it's not an issue for cooking. He always loved lobster, so it's often been on our table. I only avoid eating it, so maybe he forgot. I felt a bit disappointed, but mostly, I was happy. With that in mind, I set the lobster on the table, which instantly looked lavish. I made a simple meal with some frozen mackerel I had. My eldest son returned after showering, and my husband then headed to the bathroom. "Such a magnificent lobster. Thank you," I called out to Mike from the kitchen. "Yeah," he replied shortly, then looked away and sat down at the dining table. "Let's all eat together." My son started eating without responding further. He's always been gruff and quiet, but it seems to have gotten worse since he got married. Maybe he doesn't like how I talk to Karen, so I've been keeping my distance from him lately. But seeing his eyes light up at the sight of the lobster was just like when he was a child. I was happy, hoping for a family meal just between us today. My husband returned, and both of us sat down at the table. However, I was shocked to see that the lobster was just a shell. "Where's the lobster?" I asked my son. "I ate it. You're allergic, Mom," he said nonchalantly. Stunned, my husband spoke up. "What do you mean you sent her lobster knowing she can't eat it? It's better than nothing, right?" My son replied without a hint of remorse. Feeling pathetic for being happy and saddened by my son's actions, I quietly finished my meal and retreated to my room. What's the big deal? Turning 60 isn't special. If I can enjoy it, that's all that matters, my son said dismissively. My husband scolded him, but I couldn't make out the words. After calming down, I came out of my room. My husband and son were still in a tense mood. "I'll thank Karen for you. She prepared it, after all," my son told me amidst the tension. "Why should Sarah thank Karen?" my husband yelled. "Enough, Henry. It's my fault for being happy about it," I said. My son, showing anger, left the dining room. Feeling sorry for my husband, who looked at me with pity, I silently started cleaning up. Then I showered and went to the bedroom alone, leaving my husband behind. Entering the bedroom, I saw a missed call on my phone. It was Karen. It was late, but maybe she needed something, so I called her back. "Hello, Karen." "Ah, Sarah, did you get the gift?" she asked. "Yes," I responded briefly to her question. "Was the lobster delicious?" I replied to Karen. "The thing is, I have a mild allergy to shellfish." Mike ate it all by himself. "What?" Karen's voice trembled. Then she suddenly sounded panicked. "Where is he now?" "I don't know, maybe in his room. It's been quite a situation." She sounded distraught. "Please, go check on him." "I won't." I refuse. "He'll come out if he feels remorseful." "It's not about that," Karen sounded frantic. "Just go quickly." Reluctantly, I headed to my eldest son in his wife's bedroom. It had been a while since he went to bed, and I assumed he was asleep. I knocked and called out, "Mike, are you sleeping?" There was no answer. "Seems he's asleep," I said to Karen, who was still on the phone. "I'll be right back," Karen said before hanging up. What was that about? I was about to return to my bedroom when it happened. "Mom," a pained voice called out, making me look up. "Mike." The voice was coming from the bathroom at the back of the second floor. The door was wide open, and I could see half of Mike's figure. "What's wrong?" I couldn't help but raise my voice. "Call an ambulance." Hearing my eldest son's pained voice, I called my husband and immediately phoned for an ambulance. I felt responsible. Honestly, that's what I thought. He must have caused himself gastroenteritis from overeating. After eating the lobster, he had even finished all the rice long after I had left the room. I got into the ambulance with Mike while my husband followed in the car. Despite it being night, the hospital examined him right away. Karen called, and when I told her we were heading to the hospital, she hurried over. "Mike," she called out as she burst into his hospital room. For now, he was on an IV drip, going back and forth between the toilet and the bed, but the doctor said his symptoms should settle down with time. I left our son in Karen's care and returned home with my husband. "It's overeating, his own fault," Henry said, echoing my thoughts. With Karen by Mike's side, there seemed to be no need to worry. We rested easy that night and went back to the hospital the next day. Food poisoning, the doctor informed us the next day. It seemed it wasn't just overeating after all. When asked if anything came to mind, I said we did eat mackerel yesterday. Mackerel? It could be anisakis. His symptoms have settled, so we can perform an endoscopy, the doctor suggested. That would be best. We need to know the cause. I agreed, but the mackerel had been frozen and thoroughly cooked. I couldn't imagine it harboring anisakis. As I pondered this, the doctor explained the situation to Mike. He agreed to the endoscopy and changed into the examination gown provided by the nurse. The hospital room was now just me, my husband, my son, and my grandson Tom. Today happened to be a Saturday. My grandson, who was off from school, had come from Karen's parents' house early this morning. "It's all because of the meal Mom made," my son said, glaring at me. I had no words to respond. Though not intentional, I felt responsible. "Why are you changing?" Karen, who had just returned, asked. Come to think of it, I hadn't seen her for a while. She must have been in the bathroom. I explained what the doctor had told me. "Is he okay to have an endoscopy when he's feeling this sick?" Karen voiced her concern. "I'm in pain too and would rather not do it, but the symptoms aren't going away. It might be anisakis causing peritonitis. If it gets worse, it could even lead to surgery. And it's all because of Mom," my eldest son said, his voice filled with frustration. Hearing his words, Karen also looked at me. "But that mackerel was frozen. Anisakis should be okay if it's frozen, right? And it was well cooked," I protested. "But look at me now," my son shouted angrily. "Mom, is what you just said true?" asked the nurse who entered the room. It was a relief to see her. It was my daughter Emma, who worked at this hospital. We had informed the hospital yesterday that we were Emma's family. Having come to work, Emma must have heard from someone and come to check on us. Good morning," I greeted my daughter. "But is it true about the mackerel being frozen?" Emma asked. "It's true. It was properly frozen," I confirmed. Upon hearing this, Emma hurried out of the room. Shortly after, the doctor returned and asked for confirmation. "Sarah, I heard the mackerel was frozen. Is that true?" I nodded. "Then the likelihood of anisakis is extremely low. Anisakis are fine if frozen. Eating that wouldn't cause food poisoning." "Did you eat anything else that might be of concern?" the doctor asked. His words made me ponder. I had thought it was all because of the mackerel I cooked. I thought again. Yesterday, we had mackerel soup and sautéed spinach. My husband and I ate it too, but we feel fine. Then I remembered something. "Oh, but my son ate lobster alone," I said. I didn't miss the change in Karen's expression at my words. Come to think of it, Karen had been disturbed the moment I mentioned yesterday that my eldest son had eaten lobster. She was the one who had urged me to go to the bedroom in a hurry. Thanks to her, I found my son in bad shape in the bathroom. "Karen, do you know something?" I asked, my eyes narrowing in suspicion. I asked, my voice stern. Karen stiffened. "Karen," my son also called out to her. Karen fell silent. At that moment, their son Tom stopped playing his game and said, "Is that the lobster Mom bought a month ago?" A month ago, my eldest son, my husband, and I all turned our gaze to our grandson. "Yeah, the one I've been keeping in my room for a month. I took it with me when I went back to Grandpa's house yesterday and gave it to Dad," Tom explained. His words made me turn pale. My eldest son questioned Karen. "What do you mean?" "Wasn't it bought yesterday?" Karen began to speak. "So what? You're the one who said you'd send lobster for her 60th birthday celebration. That's why I bought it when it was cheap. What's wrong with that? Why were you hiding it in Tom's room?" My eldest son yelled. "You said Sarah was being annoying and it was just to irritate her. I thought a little stomach pain would do. I wouldn't eat something I'm allergic to just to spite her," I said, my voice trembling with disbelief. Listening to their argument, my husband seemed completely enraged. "Both of you were to blame. Apologize to Sarah." My husband's yelling echoed in the hospital room. I calmed him down. It was clear that both had acted with malice. We can't keep them in our house anymore, I declared. They stopped their arguing. I'm sorry, I went too far, my eldest son apologized, confused by my calm demeanor. Right, I can't even think of you as my son anymore. Leave the house once you're discharged, my husband added firmly. Please wait, Henry. I'm really sorry, Karen collapsed on the spot. In the end, Mom was fine, so please forgive us, my son said, trying to gauge our reaction, but forgiveness was not in my heart. Take care, then, I said. That was all, and we left the hospital, leaving the two behind. According to my daughter, they continued to blame each other after we left. Mike, Karen, calm down, Emma tried to soothe them, but the fight didn't stop. Tom, fed up with his parents, returned to our house first. I hadn't even noticed his return since he went straight to his room. The atmosphere between Karen and my son remained hostile even after his discharge. Karen stopped washing my son's clothes, and of course, I had no intention of doing it either. Eventually, they got divorced. Karen left our house with Tom. She had often stayed away for long periods and was absent when needed. I had been considerate all this time, but somehow, I felt relieved. Let's live together happily like before, my eldest son suggested, but my husband got furious again and finally kicked him out of the house. We transferred the ownership of our properties and house to our eldest and second daughters. Although there was a gift tax, my husband laughed, saying it was better than leaving it to someone we disliked. The husbands of our daughters thanked us and they redid the celebration for my 60th birthday. At that time, our eldest daughter came back from Spain to our house after several years, and we all had a great time. Seeing her grandchildren's smiling faces, I was truly happy. Later, our second daughter's family moved from their apartment to our house. Their apartment was our property too, and we transferred its ownership to her, generating rental income. Our eldest daughter was overjoyed, saying that thanks to the property she inherited, the whole family could visit us several times a year. Spending time with our real daughters was effortless and very relaxing. The family grew larger, and my husband seemed happy. Although I sometimes had to be careful around my second daughter's husband, he was a kind man who always looked after us. Honestly, I still can't forgive my eldest son and my ex-daughter-in-law, nor do I intend to in the future. But my eldest daughter taught me something. There's a Spanish proverb, living well is the best revenge. Don't you think it's a good saying? Betty said with a smile. Yes, it is, I smiled back. If there's any revenge to be had, it's for my husband and me to live happily.